Hello and welcome everybody. Welcome back to the Digital Leaders podcast, where we aim to entertain and educate our listeners on digital issues. Today with me are Pauline, Gabby and Charlie.
Hi guys.
Hi.
And my name is Emil. Today we will be discussing the effect of pornography on mental well-being, the glamorization of mental illness online, social media profiles and the representation of body types online, and deepfakes. I will start us off with the topic of the effect of pornography on mental well-being. So I don't think it really is a secret that pornography can have a very negative effect on people, and through the internet it has only become more of a significant issue because it has become even easier to access pornography on the internet. And besides being really addictive, pornography can also cause brain fog, social anxiety, depression, and eating disorders. It also has a big impact on kind of the idealization of unrealistic body standards and is a huge problem actually, especially for teenagers. And now just got a couple of questions for you guys actually. So as mentioned, porn has the potential to cause depression. So by what factor do you think are senior students who watch porn more than 3 times a week more likely to suffer from depression than students that watch porn less than 3 times a week? Gabby,
Well, I think definitely it's because of the unrealistic expectations that come with porn, because you you watch this sort of like idealized version of sex and you obviously crave that and you want it more, and that obviously makes you more depressed and sad when you can't access that. And so people who watch it more get that more ingrained in their head that that's what sex is supposed to be. And if you're not having sex or having sex sort of like not to that kind of level, it's obviously going to be disheartening and stuff.
I know what you mean. And what do you think, how much more likely are senior students who watch porn more than 3 times a week to suffer from depression than students that don't?
Oh, I'm not sure about the statistics.
What do you think?
Okay,
like your guess, your own guess.
My own guess. 20% more likely.
Okay, what do you think, Charlie?
Well, of course, like if you're addicted to anything, then it's going to affect your productivity, and then you might feel that might just pile up and snowball into depression. So I'd say that I think you're 40% more likely.
Okay.
It's a jump.
What do you think, Pauline?
I think I would go with something close to Gabby, like maybe 25%.
So, according to a study conducted in 2017, senior students are 5 times more likely to suffer from depression if they watch pornography more than 3 times a week.
Damn.
Which I think is just absolutely mental, because you wouldn't be thinking about that.
It
is 5 times more likely.
Can like lead to depression, like things you wouldn't even think of.
Absolutely. It's crazy that, we always think of pornography as this kind of enjoyable thing, which it also, it
But
can
most drugs
be.
are enjoyable.
However, exactly,
Yeah.
like addictive things seem to us to be enjoyable. However, we need to realize that everything has to come in moderation.
Yeah.
Because it's
definitely.
like just immediate dopamine. It's like doing things that immediately release endorphins, which don't make you feel so good in the long run.
Oh yeah.
But you can just
absolutely.
It's something like because
Short term.
Yeah, because obviously like the internet, if it's free on device, so you can just go like straight to it. It's like obviously cheap and very accessible, so you can just go straight to it.
Absolutely, that's a really good point, Charlie. And also, my next questions for you guys is, how many more viewers did big pornography distributors like Pornhub get on a daily basis during the COVID-19 pandemic? Because obviously during COVID-19, everybody was kind of at home, and there has been some statistics that show that, sites like Pornhub got significantly more views. So what do you think, by what % did they notice an increase?
Well, like obviously you can't go out. You can't let off a little bit of steam, so it's obviously going to go a little bit more. I reckon 60%.
Okay.
I reckon it would be like a huge increase, because you have longer time in the day. You don't have, when you're in school or things like that, you don't have things being demanded of you. But during the pandemic, when you're in lockdown, you don't really have much demanded of you, or much where you're required to be working at all times.
Yeah, I think also apart from just the fact that people are at home, is that just people might be more like prone to watching.
Yeah, more likely,
Or more
probably.
likely because they can't go to parties, they can't meet anyone, or maybe can't even meet their like partners. So I think it will definitely massively increase.
Yeah.
Like,
So it wasn't quite as much as Gabby anticipated. They noticed an increase of 15%. However, when you take that into context,
Of how many people use it?
15% is the equivalent of 17 million more viewers on a daily basis watching pornography from it, and that is added onto its high view count of 115 million people per day.
worldwide or
That is worldwide, yeah.
okay.
So now let's move on to Pauline, who will be discussing the issue of glamorizing mental illness online. That is in particular kind of when mental illness online is misrepresented to be this kind of glamorous thing that is kind of aspired for people to have, or if it is misrepresented to be something good or something that people aspire to in order to get attention. So Pauline, if you would like to continue.
Yeah. So I think the glamorization of mental illnesses mainly kind of started when TV shows like Skins or 30 Reasons Why came out, in which mental illness was really heavily glamorized.
Yeah, everyone wanted to like be like them.
Absolutely,
Yeah, exactly.
It was kind of this big trend on social media.
Yeah, I think, for example, in 30 Reasons Why, Netflix was even forced to take out the scene in which the character Hannah Barker committed suicide. And the producers said that they kind of wanted to show the severity of the suicide, but it has just led to a lot of kind of people thinking that
it led to kind of a lot of individuals also being triggered by it, if I remember correctly. I mean, I didn't do as much research into it as you did, but what I remember from the time, it was also kind of a lot of people started watching it during the COVID-19 lockdown in 2020.
Obviously, a very hard time as well.
Absolutely. There was already kind of a lot of mental pressure going on. And I think that also then kind of led to a lot of people getting triggered by seeing those kind of things.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that, it also has been criticized that the show kind of warps the idea of suicide into a revenge fantasy. And it makes suicide seem to be carried out in a kind of methodical way, which is really rarely the case in reality.
Yeah, totally. I think it's just a misrepresentation, isn't it?
Exactly.
These perfect kind of scenarios on kind of TV series, although they do aim to educate, like I think especially kind of in season 1 of 13 Reasons Why, the series was really trying to educate about mental illness, but you always kind of have to think of that boomerang effect, that while you're educating the general public or teaching them, you are still kind of exactly showing them what that looks like, and by putting it into such a hype of that 13 Reasons Why it also got, obviously they couldn't have anticipated it, but obviously it did get that, you are in that effect glamorizing it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you guys seen like the trend on TikTok where they go like, this is my 13th reason why?
Oh yeah.
Also like humour's like a coping mechanism, it also kind of like undervalues how sort of intense like suicidal thoughts are.
Yeah, I think on TikTok I also have seen like a lot of gonna do a Barker or something.
Absolutely.
And then the comments like, what is doing a Barker, or what do you mean with Barker? And then just literally people explaining it, but the way they explain it kind of glamorizes it.
Yeah, because it's like you're not really living in a Netflix set, so
exactly.
You don't know what there is no like set effect of suicide on other people. Like you never know how severe it could be,
how triggering it could be for other people.
Yeah. And it's not like when this happens, like you're going to cause like a lot of like suffering to other people, and you're going to get your revenge. If like I don't know why it's seen as like why the show sort of portrayed it.
Yeah, it's like a selfish thing. Like you want to hurt someone else. Really, it's about your pain and your suffering.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and then there was, for example, also the other show, Skins, which a lot of you have probably seen as well.
I've heard of it, but I've
I've
never
heard of it.
actually
Same,
watched it.
yeah.
Can you just quickly give us a recap of what it's about?
It's basically about a group of teenagers who are all friends,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of the main thing that is glamorized in the show is by the character Cassie.
Okay.
You might have heard of
She's the
her.
blonde one.
I think I have heard of it
she's
because I
been
watched a couple of
glamorized
clips of
a
it.
lot on social media,
Okay.
and basically she struggles with anorexia,
Oh yeah, I know.
and her like body issues and struggles were really glamorized, which kind of led to images of Cassie being used for thinspo and fans editing her picture next to pro-Anna slogans.
Oh God, no! That's just awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we need to be really careful these days about what we put on the internet,
Yeah.
especially as kind of these big Hollywood producers. I bet that is already something they're factoring into what they're producing, and I'm sure that the producers of Skins probably had no intention at all to kind of cause
Exactly,
that
yeah.
glamorizing effect. But I mean, as you'll come on later on in the podcast as well, with deepfakes and everything that's been developed with the internet nowadays, we just really need to be, I think, a lot more careful about what we watch online.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Perfect. So thank you so much for that, Pauline. I really appreciate it. Let's now move on to Gabby with the topic of social media profiles.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about social media and mental health. And I think we all use social media. It's a great thing, but there's a bit of a debate about whether it's positive or negatively affecting your mental health. People obviously need social interactions to function, as it can relieve stress and anxiety and sadness. And the lack of socialising is actually bad for your mental health. I think that's really important for us because I think all of us are full boarders.
Yes.
And so social media is really important for chatting with our friends back home or with our family.
Yeah,
I'll call them
totally.
every day. I can do
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely.
I
No.
text my friends all the
It's
time.
just a way
Yeah.
of staying in contact with people that you are not able to directly talk to, isn't it?
Yeah, like familiar
Yeah.
people as well in a new
Mhm.
environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I found out, I'm not sure how accurate this is, but there's 4.5 billion social media users
Oh, wow.
with an average of 2 hours and 30 minutes a day. Now that was quite shocking because that's quite low.
That
I don't know about you
yeah,
guys.
if you
That's
think
quite
about
low.
it.
Yeah, but there would have to be, because of course that's like a mean.
Yeah.
There would be
Yeah.
some people who are,
For like
Probably.
10
and
minutes
and
a
also
day.
they would have had like some data taken from like bots constantly
Yeah.
posting profiles, getting
Uh-huh.
promotions and things like
Absolutely. No, I agree. I mean, it's always, when you think about it in proportion, is that really low or is that really high, or have we just, gotten to the standard where we think that
it's
in
low.
context
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
low?
I
But you
think it
think about
actually
it,
is quite
what was
high.
it, 2 hours, 3 hours?
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours of your day. I mean, that is crazy, isn't
Yeah,
it? I
it's
mean, you
actually
spend
really
that
a
much
lot.
time of your day, basically. I mean, if you think that you're sleeping for 8 hours, then you're up 14. No,
Yeah.
sorry, 16. Then
Big
it
maths.
is, quick maths. Then it is actually quite a lot of
Yeah.
time that you're
really is.
spending
How many
on your
seconds that's
and
a
that
lot
I
of
mean that's
time.
social media alone and not anything else you're
Yeah.
doing on
And
your
our
hands.
But
reactions
there
and
is-
immediately,
phones.
that was really low.
And on a lot of
Yeah.
like apps, when you're scrolling, there's not always like, you don't always see the time in the corner,
Oh, TikTok.
so you don't know like
Yes.
you don't know how long you're scrolling for, and if there's like one video that you see, then there's just like always one more video,
Yeah.
one more
Mhm.
video.
Just the
Especially
next
on
one.
TikTok, because it's
It's
like
so short,
it's 10-second videos, and then
Yeah.
you just I can do one more,
Mhm.
and then
And if you see something funny on someone's profile, then you go onto their
go
profile.
Exactly.
and you keep
Oh, look at all
scrolling.
these funny videos.
Mhm.
Someone left a funny comment. Oh yeah,
Go
go
on.
onto their profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
It's kind of that chain, isn't it? But Gabby, do continue.
Now, I wanted to talk about an experiment they did in quite a few years ago now. It's not
Mhm.
related to social media, but it does show how, social interactions can affect your mental health.
Mhm.
So, in Fiji, before 1998, they didn't have TV. Sorry, not before 1995. I got ahead of
Yeah.
myself
Yeah.
there. Before 1995, they didn't have TV,
Mhm.
and the image of a curvaceous woman was the most popular. Everyone wanted to be curvaceous and
Mhm.
slightly larger. But when they introduced TV, there was an immediate increase in eating disorders
Mhm.
and things like bulimia and stuff. And I think there's 5 times more girls admitted to inducing vomiting to lose weight than in 1995.
That's
Isn't it
crazy,
crazy?
isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
the effect that
Yeah.
TV and media has on us it's incredible.
Like, we won't even know because we've been near TV our whole lives.
Yeah,
We don't know without it.
We've been conditioned into those habits almost.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But then again, that's not always a bad thing because it's like revolutionary and it's not
Seeing
all
other cultures
yeah.
is really good.
and it's not always like it's a tool and it doesn't always have to be like a weapon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
it
think
Totally, yeah.
can be very useful.
I agree with you, but I think, not to get too metaphorical here, but I think, just like social media and kind of media in general is a tool. When you have, kind of favourite
It's so
food
important,
and you eat that food like every day, and at some point you just get sick of it because you can't have it
exactly.
anymore.
It's going to start
Yeah.
harming you at some point. if you eat too much.
Absolutely. At some point it'll harm you. And I think that's just, kind of the message from that is that everything should come in moderation.
Yeah.
And that is kind of what we should also try and at least do with media and social
Yeah.
media especially.
I think
Like,
it's
I think like you guys have all seen Bridgerton, right?
Yes.
Like the representation of the Sharma sisters,
Mhm.
so important in representing Indian and Desi culture, like with the chai tea. And I can't remember what it's called, but it's made of turmeric, that sort of turmeric mask you put on your skin to make you glow.
Oh yes, I know what
it's
you
like
mean.
so important
Uh-huh.
for like Indian culture to be represented.
Represented, yeah.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Thank you. English is my first language. I don't know what
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think that media can have a lot of good effects, especially with representation that, people would normally not know about things.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the representation on Bridgerton of the Sharma sisters, I think was quite groundbreaking, actually.
It was done so well as well.
It was done really well. I mean, obviously, I can't speak as an individual from that ethnicity, but I mean,
I've
it
heard
did
it-
seem,
yeah.
from my perspective at least, that it was done quite respectfully.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I think it's
Perfect.
always really really thin line between
Mm-hmm.
like too much use of social media, good use of social media.
It's really hard.
Or also like again with the glamorization, is it just to like normalize and reduce stigma, or is it already glamorizing the mental illness? I think when
Absolutely.
it comes to social media, it's for most of the things it's like a really thin line.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to tell.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. So thank you so much for that, Gabby. I really
Pleasure.
appreciate that. Can we now move on to Charlie, please, with his topic of body types on social media?
Well, of course, there's a lot of like misrepresentation of body types and editing and like lighting and things that can affect how body images are portrayed on social media rather than how they look in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like unless you're aware of the editing or you know what this person looks like in real life, then you won't know like whether these photos are edited, and you may start to like ponder, why don't I look like that, or
Yeah.
am I supposed to look like that? And like of course it will have a negative effect because you're constantly comparing yourself to others and you don't feel like good enough in yourself, and so then you have an unrealistic expectation of
Mm-hmm.
how you should look to like how other people portray they look, but they don't actually
Absolutely, I think
Yeah.
there's been, especially in the last couple of years with COVID going on as well, I think there's been a lot of kind of representation, also kind of that idealizing of unrealistic body standards on social media, especially with kind of the COVID-19 pandemic, people not being to kind of go to the gym as much or do the
Yeah,
sports they
totally.
love to do. So I think that especially with COVID, in a
We've been
time
on
where
social
kind
media
of we
more.
could have all been, more accepting of people's bodies and the challenges they face, I feel like almost media and society became even a little bit more critical of it. And I think instead we should just
Yes.
kind of take a step back and become more accepting of everybody and just appreciate everybody's effort they're putting into it. Because after all, especially with COVID, it was a really harsh time for everybody. Everybody was facing, situations that they hadn't faced before. And it would have, I think we just need to be all a little bit more accepting.
Yeah.
And of course,
Yes,
on TikTok, you can't control, like the algorithms. They have some sort of impact, but you don't have full control over your For You page.
Yeah.
So when you see things that could just, like, you like intuitively, like it just happens where you see
Subconsciously.
someone, subconsciously.
Absolutely. It's
Exactly,
just kind of, even if you intentionally say to yourself,
That's not real.
no, I'm not going to look at that, or, I know that's totally unrealistic. At the end of the day, it'll still go into your subconscious and you'll still be thinking all day or something, oh, yeah, maybe I shouldn't eat as much, or, or maybe I should go to the gym more because I don't look like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the end of the day, that's just really not what it's about, especially with genetics, where, body types at the same kind of physical state can look so differently.
On a basic
Everyone's
level,
different.
born totally different body.
Totally, it's just
and you're completely healthy, but it just looks different. Weight is put on in different places. In your legs, in your arms, in your back, whatever it is.
I think a lot of time, like, people don't show their process or like procedures and what they do, and if people make like videos like what I eat in a day, where they just like cut out half the stuff they eat, and realistically they're not going to be eating the same 3 meals every single day, because
chicken and rice.
No one's going to be eating the same 3 meals every single day.
It's also kind of what I also found on TikTok in particular. You can kind of do duets with videos or stitch them, and I saw quite a lot of nutritionists actually kind of commenting on these videos and telling people, okay, this is actually a healthy way to eat, because I'm a nutritionist, I would know, and this is really not a healthy way to eat. That is actually disordered eating. Don't do that. Listen more to the other person.
Because it is helpful if they're eating unhealthy, if they're not saying what they're actually eating, but if someone is just telling you what they eat, and then someone tells you can't do that's unhealthy, that's going to affect you so much.
That's the next thing.
But I think
in general, like what I eat in the day videos can be quite toxic.
It's not good.
Especially like, even if people are really eating that little, just don't put it on social media, because I think for quite a lot of people it can be really triggering as well.
And especially when you're like learning more about yourself and learning more about nutrition, that you don't know like how much you're supposed to eat, because everyone has like different amounts that they can maintain, or like different digestions and like metabolisms of their food. So you don't actually know how much, like no one has the exact same eating regime.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you don't need to be like eating this like the same as someone else because they've posted like what they eat, even if it's not what they actually eat.
Like a nutritionist can't just look at you and say that's unhealthy for you, because they don't know you, they don't know your body.
And like it depends how active you are. Like some people like athletes or something, they obviously have to eat way more than someone who just sits on the couch all day or something.
I agree.
Like when schools often tell you to like eat like an athlete, why would I eat like an athlete? I don't exercise 6 hours a day.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
There's no point.
I completely agree, and I think that social media does play a big part, and media in general does play a big part in kind of that glamorization of unrealistic body standards, and hopefully in the future we'll be kind of moving further away from that, stereotype of having to be absolutely henched if you're a guy, and absolutely, thin as, I don't know, anything
thin
as a
but
girl.
Curvy, fat where it needs to be.
Absolutely. So hopefully in the future we'll be able to move away from that. And now to come to an end, I'll be discussing a relatively new technique called deepfakes. So if you haven't come across deepfakes before, they are an AI technology which is able to transplant one person's face on another person's body. It has its roots, as so many other technologies, in pornography, in which celebrities' faces were transplanted onto porn stars' bodies. And actually, what surprised me a bit when I did a bit of research into it is that deepfakes people started experimenting with deepfakes in the 1990s already, which you wouldn't really be thinking. So the initial research for deepfakes really started in the 1990s, and people kind of tried to really make it as perfect as possible. And then it really boomed in 2017, where, more and more videos were surfacing of, celebrities doing things that they obviously would not be doing. And that's when people really became aware of it. And obviously, deepfakes, they present a massive issue in media, because first of all, there's the fact that individuals which are used for deepfakes, which mostly are celebrities or people of the public, they do not give consent to being in these videos. I mean, it's first of all
identity is being stolen.
Yeah, it's basically
Yeah.
identity theft, and besides that, it also causes mental and emotional trauma for those individuals. I mean, imagine, you know, going online and just seeing yourself in, what do I know, beating somebody up, you know,
If
in
you're
a
a
pub.
daughter, like a child of celebrity, and you see your parent in a porn video, but of course it's not really them, but they might not
Obviously,
know that.
it's
but
still
also,
really scarring.
since it is like a really new technique, a lot of people might actually not know that it
Yeah.
exists.
Uh-huh.
So they just believe what they're seeing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, deepfakes have even been used for blackmailing individuals into, because obviously, you know, if you just get, you know, a kind of notorious message, okay, of this video, and then they actually send you the video and you're actually seeing yourself doing things that you would never do, but it looks so realistic that you yourself would believe that that is you in the video, you obviously would panic. So, and just to give you some famous examples if you want to look some deepfakes up. So in December 2020, Channel 4 actually deepfaked a Christmas speech by the Queen, and I think quite a lot of people. I think quite a lot of people have seen that, and it caused quite the controversy at the time because
it looks so real.
Yeah.
I was actually confused.
So, because the Queen was depicted essentially gossiping, and excuse the vulgarity, but essentially bitching about other members of the royal family.
I can't believe Channel 4 did that though.
Yeah, I know, that surprised me as well. So it was. I think it was a really great way to kind of speak about the awareness of deepfakes, really, and also. What I have to admit, I find it quite entertaining, but since the beginning of the invasion of Ukraine, there has been so many deepfakes of Putin. Like, honestly, just look up Putin deepfake or go on TikTok. Well, you know, I wouldn't recommend, of course, but go on TikTok and just honestly, have some nice time with looking at Putin being deepfaked off, you know, saying things like, am I the drama? No, I don't think I'm the drama. Oh, I am. So it is really quite entertaining. But have you guys ever had kind of a moment where you've seen a celebrity, you know, in a video where you think, that can't possibly be them, and then you realise, well, you know, it's a deepfake? Have you ever come across a deepfake?
I think mine was the Queen one, but it was obviously like a few years ago. I didn't know what deepfake was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought, where's the Queen playing at? What is she doing now? She's going crazy.
Absolutely, yeah. So have any of the two of you?
I mean, I've come across the Putin ones, definitely. And before that, I think I have. I can't remember exactly the people who were in it.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I've also heard like of cases where someone like almost kind of stole someone else's identity and posted videos on TikTok with it.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, obviously it's, you know, although we're now laughing about it, if we really think about it, it's a really dangerous technology.
It's scary.
It's terrifying, you think. I mean, just imagine what the Queen must have been thinking if all of a sudden a Christmas speech is going out. Like, yeah. But anyways, let's return back to business. So thank you so much to all of you for listening up till now. We really appreciate it. And I do hope we were able to, you know, educate and entertain at the same time for you a bit. And I hope you found something out that you hadn't known before. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.